Fairy. I have flowing blade and bending jade. Chapter 31. At night, a luxury cruise ship floats on the sea. Your name is Lucy, isn't it? What a nice name. The man who called himself Fire Dragon held the wine glass in his hand and said to the blonde girl in front of him very gentlemanly. But in his eyes, there was a hint of obscenity. Thank you. Lucy smiled. Come on, let's have a drink. Speaking of the fake fire dragon, he snapped his fingers, and the wine in the glass in front of Lucy actually flew up drop by drop. Everyone on the boat showed intoxicated expressions, only Lucy's expression changed. It's sleep magic, isn't it? Lucy fixed her eyes on the ring worn by the fake dragon. The fake fire dragon was not angry, and said with a smile, you saw through it. Don't get me wrong, I really want to join Fairy Tale, but I never thought about becoming your woman to achieve my goal. Lucy refused righteously. The fake fire dragon shook his head. There is really no way. As soon as the voice fell, the screen behind was pulled open, and there were unconscious girls being held hostage. Lucy looked at everything in disbelief. As expected of Lord Hualong, the harvest this time is really not small. A group of big men grinned grinningly and walked towards Lucy slowly. Take her down. The fake fire dragon spoke. You guys are abusing magic to deceive people. Is this a fairy tale mage? What a bad mage. Tears flashed from the corners of Lucy's eyes. These were the tears of my broken dream. The guild I wanted to join in my dream was so bad. At the same time, it seems to be that ship. Genryusai said looking at a luxury cruise ship on the sea level. Boat. Ah. No way. Just seeing it makes me want to throw up. Natsu felt an urge to throw up when he saw the boat. Don't get seasick just by imagining it. Happy said very calmly. Obviously Happy is completely used to it. Turning her head, Happy said to him, Genryusai, let me fly you there. It's not that much trouble. Genryusai smiled faintly, stretched out his right hand, and gathered Reiatsu. The 58th of breaking the way, Tianlin. Hoo hoo. The wind howled on the sea surface, rolling up huge waves one after another. The waves rolled up by the strong wind, like giant churning dragons, slapped the reefs on the shore, making a loud rumbling noise. The luxury cruise ship was heaving and bumping in the turbulent waves, the wind and waves became more and more violent, and the cruise ship was bumping and shaking violently in the strong wind. What's wrong? What happened? Ah. Lord Fire Dragon. It's not good. It's the waves, the sea is blowing huge waves. What nonsense are you talking about? This is near the sea, how could there be? Before the man finished speaking, the cruise ship was bumped and shaken, and the huge waves beat the cruise ship, pushing it towards the coast. Here we come, the boat is coming. Hey! Snapped. Boom boom boom. The cruise ship was washed ashore, overturned on the shore, and the surging waves continued to hit the port. After a while, the storm calmed down. The violent vibration of the cruise ship's rollover awakened the sleeping girls, and they screamed and fled after reacting. Lucy also took this opportunity to escape, saw Genryusai and Natsu on the shore, and said in surprise, It's you. Why are you here? I'll talk about it later. Genryusai replied with a smile, turning his head to look at those people on the cruise ship, his eyes became extremely cold. Catch those women back. Otherwise we will all be exposed and be wanted by the kingdom. Yes. Yes yes. Several vicious men jumped off the overturned cruise ship and chased after the escaped girls. Seeing this, Lucy wanted to help the girls escape, but she didn't wait for her to make a move. Genryusai's pupils shrank, and a terrifying Reiatsu erupted instantly. Wow whoa. These people seemed to be under some strong pressure, and they all screamed and lay on the ground. Lucy's eyes widened, not knowing what was going on. The man who called himself Fire Dragon looked at Genryusai and Natsu with serious faces and asked, Who are you? Natsu tore off his coat, revealing the fairy tale crest on his shoulder. I'm Natsu, the fairy tale wizard, and I've never seen you before. No, Mr. Porla, the other party is the real fairy tale mage. Happy said. Porla. It turned out to be Porla from Red Flame, the guy who was expelled by the giant nose of the Wizards Guild a few years ago. They are human traffickers, and he intends to traffic all the girls on board to Persia. Lucy pointed at Porla and said angrily. But the disappointment in my heart finally disappeared. It turned out to be a counterfeit. I knew that there would not be such a dirty mage in the Goblin Guild. Single quote. Human traffickers. Genryusai and Natsu's complexion suddenly sank. The liar was nothing more than the most disgusting human trafficker. Smear Fairy Tale is an adult trafficker. Are you ready to pay the corresponding price? There. Flames erupted from the ground, the air became hot, and the cruise ship was instantly enveloped in flames. Lucy screamed, "Fire, fire, fire, fire everywhere." Don't worry about Lucy, this is Genryusai's magic. Happy said calmly. Mr. Porla, I recognize it. It's him. It's them. That man who was called a calamity by the Magic Council. Wherever he goes, life is wiped out, the land is thousands of miles away, and there is no grass. That black-haired guy is Fairy Tale's super powerful mage known as Flame Calamity. And the cherry-colored hair, scarf-like dragon scales, absolutely right, he is a real fire dragon. Porla roared with an ugly face. Who cares about the Flame Calamity and Fire Dragon? If you dare to spoil my good deeds, you will all die, kill them. It turns out that you are pretending to be my name to deceive people, Genryusai, leave this guy to me. Natsu rushed towards Porla. Others charged at Genryusai with weapons in hand. Danger! Lucy yelled. Happy ate the fish calmly, and said in a relaxed tone, don't worry, even if those guys are 1,000 times more numerous, they will never be Genryusai's opponent. Genryusai is the strongest wizard in Fairy Tale. Fire punch. Wow! A crimson flame giant fist roared out from Genryusai's hand. Wow! Ah! Fire! It's on fire! Where the fire fist passed, the ground was scorched by a long black road. The traffickers were hit head-on, and couldn't even scream, so they were burned to ashes. The one who escaped by luck was also burned by the high temperature, and a large area of burns appeared on the whole body in an instant. It's really dead if you touch it, and hurt if you rub it. Lucy was dumbfounded and said, a punch. Killed so many people with one punch. Is this the Fairy Tale mage? Porla was completely outraged when he saw the escaped girl, the burnt cruise ship, and his men who were almost wiped out. It's stinky brat. Red flame vortex. A purple-red flame struck towards Natsu who was running towards him. Boom. Natsu was hit head-on by the flames. Natsu. Lucy yelled worriedly. Shish. The flames kept disappearing, all entering Natsu's mouth. Unpalatable. This is the first time I have eaten such an unpalatable flame. Are you a fire magician? Eat the flames. Shower of red flames. The flames rained down on Natsu, all of which were avoided by Natsu. Fire dragon's roar. Huh. A blazing storm of hot flames burst from Natsu's mouth. Lucy opened her mouth wide. Is this really magic? This is completely different from the magic she knows. Happy calmly explained. A dragon's stomach can dissolve flames, and a dragon's claws can hold flames. In Natsu's magic is the magic used to fight dragons, ancient magic, dragon slaying magic. Dragon slayer magic. I've never heard of it. It is magic created to destroy dragons, and magic is lost when dragons disappear. Fire dragon's iron fist. Natsu sent Porla flying with one punch, hitting the clock hard. Boom. Porla fell down heavily together with the golden clock. Natsu, you fool. Seeing that the most significant ancient clock representing the town of Harjan was smashed by Natsu, the corners of Genryusai's mouth twitched. That is an ancient clock with a history of hundreds of years, which has always been regarded as a symbol of the town by Harjan town. It looks like I have to run away. Genryusai said to Lucy, facing the direction of the town. Tread, tread, tread. Suddenly, the sound of neat footsteps and shouts came from a distance. Quick! Capture all the mages who are fighting privately on the shore. It's the army. As if to cater to him, the neat steps sounded. Lucy looked towards the town. Army. Oops. Another heavy shot. Run. Natsu was the first to run away after speaking, grabbing Lucy and running away. Genryusai also quickly followed, already quite experienced in escaping. Hey! Why do I want to run too? I didn't do anything. Lucy cried out in horror. This matter has nothing to do with her. Don't you want to join our guild? Then come together. Natsu looked back at her smiling. Lucy froze for a moment when he heard this, and then showed a big smile. Yeah. After getting off the train at the station, Genryusai took a deep breath and said, Magnolia, I haven't been back for a long time, and I'm really a little homely. Suddenly, sirens sounded over Magnolia. Ohm. Ding ding ding. Ding ding ding. Lucy was startled when he heard the siren. What's the matter? What's the matter? Attention Magnolia residents. Attention residents. Genryusai is coming. Genryusai is coming. Residents, please prepare for evacuation. Careful reminder, if there is a fire, please flee immediately. Don't try to put out the fire. The air is hot and dry, please hide in the water or prepare cooling magic props. Repeat. Residents, please prepare for evacuation. Cautious reminder, if there is a fire, please flee immediately. Don't try to put out the fire. If the air is dry and hot, please hide in the water or prepare cooling magic props. Activate Genryusai mode. Watching the town in front of me start to move with great fanfare. Genryusai mode. What does this mean? Lucy looked at Genryusai in bewilderment. Genryusai's complexion became ugly, and just now he lamented the timidity of being close to his hometown, but it turned out that his hometown welcomed him like this, and he completely regarded himself as a terrorist. Happy explained with a smile. When Genryusai first mastered magic, he often couldn't control the flames and burned down many buildings in the town. Genryusai said dissatisfied. That's all in the past, well, I haven't burned down any buildings now. But everyone is afraid. Is Genryusai such a dangerous person? Why is it rarely mentioned in the reports? Lucy is very curious, she often pays attention to Wizards Weekly, and there are very few reports on Genryusai. In comparison, there are more reports by Natsu et al. Of course, most of them are negative reports. Hey! Since Genryusai destroyed the Magic Council 3 years ago, in order to eliminate the influence, almost no reports of Genryusai will appear in the newspapers. But Genryusai is very famous in the Wizards Guild. Happy. You know too many secrets. Fairy Tale. Welcome to Fairy Tale, EH. Happy welcomed Lucy, who looked expectantly at the gate of Fairy Tale, the guild she had dreamed of joining. Boom. Natsu kicked the door open angrily. I'm back. Oh. It's Genryusai back. It's been almost half a year, Genryusai, you're finally back. Welcome back, Genryusai. Genryusai, it's been a long time. When the people in the guild saw Genryusai, they all ran over and greeted with a smile, and Genryusai responded one by one. Is Genryusai so popular in the guild? Lucy asked Happy in a low voice. Hey. Genryusai is the strongest wizard in Fairy Tale. The strongest. Lucy looked at Genryusai, who was shoulder to shoulder with the guild members, in surprise. Isn't this completely different? I heard that you have done another big thing, right here in Harjan. Before he could finish a buck-toothed sentence, he was kicked away by Natsu. Fire Dragon's intelligence is fake. How do I know? Are you going to fight, you fool? Just what I want. The two yelled at each other and scuffled together, and then the gunpowder smoke spread in all directions, and the entire guild was in a mess in the blink of an eye. Lucy widened her eyes and said, it's a fight. It's just a fight. Hey, Lucy doesn't need to complain about everything, I'm tired of explaining. Brother-in-law, you are finally back, I miss you so much. Listener, dressed in a waiter's attire, looked youthful, beautiful and full of energy, and she threw herself into Genryusai's arms. The little head still rubbed against Genryusai's arms, his face was full of joy and attachment. Feeling the strong oppression, Genryusai couldn't help feeling a wave of excitement. But looking at Listener with red eyes in her arms, she felt distressed again. I miss Listener too, she will come back as soon as the mission is over, don't cry, don't cry. Genryusai stroked Listener's little head, soothing gently. With her eyes closed, Listener arched Genryusai's big hand in enjoyment like a kitten. This is a gift I brought to Listener, see if you like it. Genryusai handed over an exquisite gift box, Listener's eyes lit up, and she took it happily. Listener didn't care about the gift, what was important was that Genryusai remembered himself, and that was enough to make Listener happy. Listener couldn't wait to open a corner of the box and took a look. Immediately, blushing, he closed the lid of the box, and looked left and right, for fear that others would see it. Brother-in-law, you are too annoying. Listener bit her lips lightly, and gave Genryusai a blushing look. Hey, what's the matter? Don't you like it? I think Listener must look good in that dress. Genryusai said with a smirk. Snort. Listener gave Genryusai a white look, and turned around with a blushing face. After struggling for a long time, he leaned into Genryusai's ear timidly, and whispered, "Brother-in-law really thinks it looks good." Uh-huh. Genryusai nodded expectantly. Listener's face turned even redder, her eyes flickered, she bit her lip, as if she had made up her mind. She said softly, "Then I'll only wear it for you, brother-in-law." Uh-huh. Genryusai was so excited, Listener glanced sideways, and quickly fled behind the bar with the gift box in her arms. Genryusai came to the bar counter, looked at the gentle Mirajan, and wiped his glass calmly. "Mila sauce, you are getting more and more beautiful, I miss you so much." Genryusai leaned in front of Mirajan, looking at her fawningly with a doggy look on his face. "I haven't seen you for so long. You have learned how to talk sweetly. Have you met some beautiful women outside? I haven't come back for half a year, I must be fascinated by the women outside." Mirajan smiled brightly like a flower, and said to Genryusai. But there was always a thorn in those words, which kept piercing Genryusai. Genryusai felt a chill in his body, and quickly waved his hands and said, "Why? I've been working all the time, and I definitely didn't look for any beautiful women. I'm talking about who is as beautiful as my Mira sauce. HMPH. It sounds good. I haven't heard any news for so long. I'm afraid I've been forgotten." "Absolutely not. I think about Mira-chan every day, and I want to finish the task and come back soon. But this time the mission is in the deep mountains and old forests, there is no way to contact the guild at all. No, as soon as I finished the task, I rushed back without stopping. I wanted to see you as soon as possible." Genryusai stared at Mirajan affectionately, trying to pull Mirajan's little hand, but Mirajan avoided it. "Real." Mirajan moved closer to Genryusai's face, and fixed Genryusai's gaze closely, as if to see if Genryusai was lying. Genryusai raised his hand and said, "It's true, I swear. It's truer than pearls. And Mira-chan, have you heard from me for so long? If I wasn't in the deep mountains, wouldn't there be no news at all?" Seeing that the faces of the two were about to meet, Mirajan blushed slightly and stepped back quickly. HMPH. Even if you are telling the truth this time, there will be no next time. If you dare to disappear for so long next time without replying to any news, I will never talk to you again. Mirajan Tsunere looked at Genryusai, but the thoughts in his eyes were almost overflowing. Definitely. Genryusai breathed a sigh of relief after finally letting Mirajan calm down. "By the way, this is a gift for you." Genryusai took out the same gift box that was given to Listener and handed it to Mirajan. Mirajan's mouth curled up when she saw the gift, and she took it happily. But when she opened the gift box, steam immediately rose from her fair face, and even her neck was red. While no one saw it, he immediately put it away and hid it under the bar. "You are going to die, send this kind of clothes." Mirajan pinched Genryusai's soft waist in embarrassment and turned 360 degrees forcefully. Hiss. Genryusai gasped. This kind of pinching skill, no matter which world it is in, is like a natural instinct of women, and it can be learned without a teacher. "I think Mira-chan must look good in it." "You also said." Mirajan's little face turned even redder, and kept pinching Genryusai's soft flesh. However, seeing Genryusai's distorted face and painful appearance, he couldn't bear it after all. Gradually from pinching to stroking. "You want to see, next time, secretly." Mirajan said in a low voice shyly, but she was already sounding like a mosquito after speaking. "What did you say?" Genryusai didn't catch it at all. "Nothing." Mirajan turned her head in embarrassment and ignored Genryusai. On the other side, Lucy is knowing the guild members. That idiot is back. Gray, who was only in his underwear, roared, looking for his lifelong enemy. Lucy was taken aback by the sudden appearance of the pervert. "Gray, get dressed." Kana has complained about Grace since she was a child, from being shy at the beginning to being indifferent now. It's noisy in broad daylight. The tall, clog-clad elfman stepped forward with his arms folded. And then, he was overwhelmed by Natsu and Gray together. "Yeah, that's enough, what are you arguing about?" Loki, who was sitting with two girls, said. Lucy put an X in Magic Weekly in disappointment. "What's going on here? By the way, is there a normal person here?" "Ah, You're new here. Murajan, who was so ashamed by Genryusai, finally got rid of Genryusai's entanglement, and walked in front of Lucy with a smile. Murajan. It's me. Lucy surrounded Murajan in surprise. Murajan. It's me. Well, it's really not a problem if you don't stop them. Lucy pointed to the guild that was already in a mess. They have always been like this, don't worry about them, let's say this. Suddenly, Elfman flew towards Murajan. But just when he was about to hit Murajan, he was scabbard from behind, like playing golf. Knock out Elfman and hit Natsu, Gray, Loki and other guild members all the way. Yes. Home run. Isn't it fun? Murajan continued smiling, unaware that she almost got hit. Lucy covered her mouth in surprise, what was that just now? Seems like something flew out of here. Is it an illusion? Ha ha ha. Natsu was twirling Gray's underpants aggressively. Asshole, I'm angry. Let the horse come here. Watching Gray posing with ice magic, Natsu wrapped his hands in flames, ready to fight. We're going to fight with magic. Lucy shivered while holding Happy in front of him, and there was a wooden sign on Happy's body with the word, shield, written on it. At this time, a huge figure appeared. Lucy was startled, and watched with his mouth wide open. Stop it now. So big. The huddled members of the guild fell silent for an instant. So you are here, President. Mira greeted with a smile on the side. Ahahaha. I won this battle. Natsu laughed wildly, but before he finished speaking, Makarov stepped on the sole of his foot. Oh. Lucy was startled, and the beep caught Makarov's attention. He lowered his head and asked, Are you new here? After receiving an affirmative reply, Makarov quickly shrank, and finally turned into the usual little old man. Please give me your advice. So small. Makarov jumped lightly, flipped a few somersaults in midair, and landed on the guardrail on the second floor. Holding a stack of documents in his hand, he said, You fool, see what trouble you have caused me. Take a good look at how many documents the council has sent. First it's Gray. Wandering around the street without clothes on, and ended up stealing someone else's clothes hanging out on the balcony. Gray blushed and stammered and said, Well, it's always not good to be naked. Elfman complained. Then don't take it off. And Elfman, you actually use violence against the object you protect while performing your mission. Elfman whispered embarrassingly, because he said that a man depends on his education background. Kana falsely reported funds and went to the bar to drink 15 barrels of wine, and falsely reported in the name of Magic Council. Rocky provoked the granddaughter of Councilman Reggie, and a certain performing arts agency also demanded compensation from you. Following Natsu, you wiped out the Devon band of thieves but destroyed 7 houses, knocked down the historic clock tower in the village of Kumari, burned down all the churches in Frogia, and destroyed the city of Nabis part of the place. And Alzac, Levy Croft, Lidas, Warren, Biska. At the end, there is Genryusai, you fool. You haven't shown up for more than 5 months, and you destroyed the ancient clock in Harjan town as soon as you showed up. Apparently, the Council of Magic blamed Genryusai for the destruction of the ancient clock because of the scorched port. You guys. I'm always being scolded by the judges. But let those judges eat shit. Call. All the documents in Makarov's hand were burned and thrown to his family's vicious dog, Natsu, to eat. Listen up. All powers beyond common sense are born in common sense, and magic is not the power of miracles. It's when the chi in our body and the airflow of nature are fused together, it turns into a concrete power and manifests. This requires mental strength and concentration. No, magic can only be formed by injecting all of one's soul. If you care about the thoughts of the people above, there will be no way for Modao to progress. Don't be afraid of the idiots of the judges. Go on the path you believe in. This is the magician of fairy tale. Oh. The guild became lively again. Lucy also got excited. This is the fairy tale in her mind. Genryusai, you brat, come here. Makarov yelled at Genryusai from the bar. Genryusai came to Makarov with a smile and said, President, long time no see. Boy, it took so long for this mission. Do you know that Murajan almost broke my old bones because of this? Ha ha ha. I encountered a little trouble. You're not hurt. No. Don't worry, President. That's good. Another 10-year mission has been completed. what else can those fellows in the council say? Makarov proudly clinked glasses with Genryusai. There are a few old guys in the Magic Council who have always been dissatisfied with Fairy Tail. However, Fairy Tail is the guild with the most missions and the most prestige these years. Now, several 10-year missions have been completed. No matter how dissatisfied those old guys are, they can't do anything to Fairy Tail now. Elfman shouted at Genryusai, brother-in-law, come and drink, and talk to us about this 10-year mission. Come on, but tell me how you beat up your employer. No, no, no. Let's talk to these newcomers about your glorious deeds of destroying the Magic Council. That's what men do. It was too young. Genryusai and the president greeted each other and sat down, chatting with several people, laughing and laughing constantly. Many of them were exposing each other's embarrassing stories. The 5 months were long or short, and many things, big and small, happened during this period. The guild has also added many new companions, and this is when Genryusai enjoys it the most. Natsu. Look, I have the Fairy Tail crest too. Oh, congratulations, Louis. Asshole, my name is Lucy. Natsu is looking for a suitable task on the bulletin board. Let's look for a well-paying job, Oh, that's it. There are 160,000 J for destroying thieves. At this moment, a child's voice sounded. Has my father not come back yet? A little carrot head stood in front of the president and asked him. Huh. Stop messing around, Romeo, you are the child of a mage, you should trust your father and wait for him to come back obediently at home. But, he clearly said he would go home in 3 days, and now it's been a week and he hasn't come back. Macau went to work in Hukbei Mountain. It's not far there, go help me find him, I'm so worried about him. Stop making trouble. Your father is a mage, and this guild doesn't need mages who wipe other people's butts. Go home and drink milk obediently. Romeo jumped up and punched Makarov in the face, turned around and ran out crying, followed by Natsu knocking on the table. Natsu ran to look for Macau, although the president didn't say anything, but Genryusai could tell that the old man was relieved. Worried about Natsu's frizz, Murajan asked Lucy, who had just joined, to help her out. The guild resumed its hustle and bustle, which lasted until evening. In the evening, Macau returned safely with the help of Natsu. Ha 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 ha. Macau, what a shame. That's right, Macau, it's embarrassing. Come here, tell us what happened, and make us happy. Welcome back, Macau. As long as people are fine, ha ha ha. Natsu, Macau, come here. To celebrate Macau's safe return, let's hold a banquet. Don't hold this banquet, it's too embarrassing. Ha 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 ha. This made many people really feel relieved, the guild became more lively, and Macau became the object of everyone's ridicule. At night, Genryusai was drunk and returned to the manor with the help of Murajan and Lisana. Then sister, I'm going to sleep, and my brother-in-law will leave it to you. Don't worry, Lisana, go and rest. After helping Genryusai to the room, Murajan asked Lisana, who was tired all day, to rest, and stayed to take care of Genryusai by herself. Lisana had just returned to her room to rest when Genryusai, who was already drunk, suddenly opened his eyes. Ah you. Before Murajan had time to react, Genryusai stood up, wrapped one hand around Murajan's waist, and turned her around violently, letting her lean against the wall at the head of the bed. At the same time, Genryusai leaned forward and held Murajan in his arms in a waldong position. In this position, Murajan's body was so tightly attached to Genryusai that she could even hear Genryusai's heartbeat. You not drunk? Murajan blushed so pretty that she didn't dare to look at Genryusai. I just don't like drinking, and it's not that I can't drink. It's you, Mira-chan, who can make me drunk. Looking at Murajan curled up in front of his chest like a lamb, Genryusai smiled even more. Then you rest. I'll go first. Murajan was in Genryusai's arms, blushing, pushing Genryusai's chest with both hands, but he couldn't push it away. Genryusai leaned Murajan against the wall, wrapping one arm around her waist and the back of her head with the other. Close your eyes. Like a well-behaved bunny, Murajan obediently closed her eyes. Immediately afterwards, Genryusai lowered his head towards Murajan's, and settled down deeply. Bad guy, really domineering. Single quote. Murajan's body trembled slightly, and then she was completely immersed in Genryusai's tenderness. It wasn't until they had trouble breathing that the two slowly separated. Some typos, intentional, please understand this. Mila-chan, I love you. Genryusai hugged Murajan and said softly. Murajan was leaning on Genryusai's arms with a face full of happiness, with tenderness in her eyes. Immediately, as if thinking of something, Murajan bit her lip with a tangled expression, raised her head slightly, and looked at the affectionate Genryusai. Murajan stomped her foot suddenly, making up her mind. Then, she quickly pushed Genryusai away and ran into the bathroom of the room. Genryusai, you are not allowed to peek. Otherwise I will bite you to death. Quote. Genryusai looked at Murajan locking the bathroom door with a dazed expression, a little confused about what Murajan was going to do. Mila-chan, what's wrong? Genryusai grumbled and looked at the bathroom door with a dazed look on his face. I don't know how long it took. When Genryusai was a little drowsy, Murajan's slightly trembling voice suddenly came from his ear. Bad guy, look at me. Following Murajan's voice, Genryusai looked at Murajan who came out of the bathroom. Quote. Quote. In an instant, Genryusai's eyes widened and he was completely stunned. Rubbing his eyes vigorously, Genryusai wondered if he was dreaming. Across from him, Murajan had shed the long white dress she wore during the day. Instead, there are gold silk mandarin duck belly bands and black silk stockings. This is the clothes Genryusai gave to Murajan, custom made. At this time, Murajan's long hair was naturally spread out, the red ribbon of the gold silk mandarin duck belly band was tied around the neck, and the smooth back was completely exposed to the air. And those slender jade legs also became more eye-catching against the black silk stockings. Compared with being gentle and pleasant during the day, Murajan at this time is really charming to the extreme. Noticing Genryusai's dull gaze, Murajan's pretty face was already red enough to drip water. She bit her lips lightly, her hands tightly pinched the hem of the golden silk mandarin duck belly band, and her legs were also squeezed together. Looking at Genryusai's obsessed look, Murajan asked softly, no, isn't it good looking? Hearing Murajan's words, the sluggish Genryusai reacted. He shook his head quickly and spoke like a machine gun. Looks good, Mira-chan, you are so beautiful. Genryusai's dumbfounded appearance made the originally nervous Murajan burst out laughing. She gave Genryusai a playful look, stomped her foot lightly, and raised her arms towards Genryusai at the same time. Then what are you waiting for? Come and hug me. Whoosh. As soon as Murajan's voice fell, Genryusai appeared in front of her in an instant, and then hugged her around the waist like a princess. Being held in Genryusai's arms, Murajan's arm was around Genryusai's neck. She put her chin on Genryusai's shoulder and whispered timidly. You gave me a gift. Then, I will be your gift tonight. The details of the more than 50,000 words in the following are definitely not liked by everyone, so I won't describe them further. The two couples who have been dating for more than a year have finally achieved a positive result. More than 5 months of longing, plus Genryusai's true confession tonight. Finally, Murajan's affection for Genryusai reached its peak. As far as love goes, it goes deeper and deeper. Morning. Seeing Murajan with tears in his arms, Genryusai couldn't help but kissed her forehead. Perhaps his movement was a bit too big, causing Murajan to open his eyes in a daze. Facing Genryusai's dark pupils, he felt something pressing against him. Murajan's face changed, and she quickly retreated to the innermost side of the messy bed sheet. Seeing that Genryusai was also leaning over, she put her little feet on his chest to prevent him from approaching. Murajan pulled the hem of the bellyband down, looking ashamed and angry. Bad guy, stop messing around. Genryusai held Murajan's little feet in his hands, looking sad. Mila sauce, why did you forget it so quickly? It was clearly agreed last night, and you will always call me, dear, or, husband, from now on. Murajan pouted and turned her head to the side. I never said, don't even think about it. Looking at Murajan's Tsunere cute look, Genryusai couldn't help but smirk. Then Genryusai quickly sat down next to Murajan and whispered in her ear. My husband, you can spare Mira, Mira listens to you. Ah. Don't say it, don't say it. Before Genryusai finished speaking, Murajan's pretty face flushed instantly, and she raised her little hand to cover Genryusai's mouth. Genryusai grabbed Murajan's hand and fell backwards. Murajan's whole body was on top of Genryusai. For a moment, the two looked at each other. Murajan sat on Genryusai's body, her legs were tightly together, and her little hand covered Genryusai's mouth. Don't say any more, I warn you, forget it all. At this time Murajan's pretty face was flushed, and even her neck turned pink. Genryusai held her hand in his hand, looked into her big watery eyes and said, then Mira-chan calls her husband, maybe I'll forget about it all. Murajan stared blankly at Genryusai and asked, really? Genryusai smiled and nodded, of course. It's the puppy who doesn't count. While talking, Genryusai put his arms around Murajan's waist. However, Genryusai waited for a while, but Murajan did not see any action. He squeezed Murajan's chin to make her look his way, only to find that Murajan's eyes were closed, as if she had fallen asleep. Mira. Genryusai pinched Murajan's little nose. Are you asleep? Fufu. I fell asleep. Murajan took Genryusai's hand away and turned her head so that Genryusai could not see her face. Genryusai was a little puzzled. He asked softly, do you want me to forget about what happened just now? Just call me husband. Murajan still doesn't look at Genryusai. Don't. Genryusai pulled the blanket over him and Murajan and asked at the same time, why not? After the words fell, Genryusai suddenly found his chest itching. He looked down just in time to see Murajan drawing circles on his chest with white hair. Seeing Genryusai looking at her, Murajan pursed her lips and whispered, because I don't want you to forget, never want to. After saying that, she gently took Genryusai's arm and let Genryusai hug her, and she also closed her eyes. It's all your fault, I'm tired now. I won't go to the guild today, I'm going to sleep and miss work for a day. Genryusai looked at Murajan who had closed his eyes in his arms, his eyes were full of tenderness. After a long time, Genryusai hugged the beautiful woman in his arms tightly, with an extremely firm tone. How can I forget this most important moment, never. After Genryusai said that, he suddenly found that Murajan in his arms arched like a pig. HMPH, you bad guy has a conscience. The whole day, the two of them stayed together and didn't go to the guild. Lisana didn't know if she knew something, but she didn't knock on the door of their room for a whole day. It wasn't until the next day that the two of them showed up in the guild. As soon as Murajan entered the guild, she felt that everyone looked at her strangely. In particular, the wretched uncles like Macau and Wakaba looked at Genryusai winkingly and secretly gave him a thumbs up from time to time. Makarov stared at Genryusai angrily, wishing he could eat him. Genryusai didn't care, and stared back at Makarov in protest. Murajan blushed, broke away from Genryusai's big hand around her waist, and ran to hide in the bar. Lisana ran to her side, and the two sisters bit their ears, not knowing what they were talking about, and soon their pretty faces were flushed. Genryusai, that's amazing, you just took down a flower from the guild. Tell me, who took the initiative yesterday? Well done, Genryusai. It's really your kid. Several wretched uncles put Genryusai's shoulders together and whispered together. They spoke in a low voice, afraid of being heard by Murajan. If Murajan gets mad, they'll die badly. The kind that doesn't leave a whole body behind. Genryusai, come and fight me. Of course, there are also those who don't know anything. Seeing Genryusai appearing in the guild, Natsu couldn't wait to run over and shouted excitedly. Genryusai, let's have a showdown. You promised me. Genryusai scratched his hair and said doubtfully, is there such a thing? I can't remember. Of course there is. Then let me have something to eat first. Anyway, Natsu's duel invitation can be regarded as diverting everyone's attention. Everyone heard that Natsu was going to have a showdown with Genryusai, and they all came to watch. Genryusai is an S-level mage in the guild, and it is rumored to be the strongest mage in Fairy Tail. This statement is affirmed by many people, and it belongs to the legendary mage. Natsu is a powerful dragon slayer, and his reputation has risen in the past 2 years. The two of them have an appointment to fight, which must be very exciting. President, can you not stop them? Macau said to Makarov that he is an old man of the guild and knows that both Genryusai and Natsu are very destructive. Makarov said with a calm face, No problem, wizards should go their own way. Yesterday Makarov burned the documents sent by the council, saying that mages should not be bound by these rules, since the two are going to confront each other, naturally they cannot be stopped. Someone booed and said, President, you can take back what you said yesterday. Makarov shouted with a slightly trembling voice, if I say something, I won't regret it. I was praying in my heart, these two little fool must not destroy the town, the guild doesn't have so much money to pay. Elfman shouted, the president is a real man. Genryu sighed. Let Natsu know who is the strongest in the guild. Come on, Natsu. Be sure to stick to more than 10 strokes. Go. Come on Genryu sighed. Natsu is one move away. What are they doing here? Lucy came over curiously and asked. Lucy-chan, it's Genryusai and Natsu fighting it out. Levi explained it. Lucy joined Fairy Tail in less than 3 days, and became good girlfriends with Levi. It can only be said that women's feelings are really easy to build. Press Genryusai to win, and the winner will be decided within 10 strokes. After thinking for a long time, Happy pulled out a 10,000 J banknote and put it in front of Max, who opened the market. I will decide the winner within 5 moves. If I press Natsu, I will be instantly killed. I will press 15 moves. Many members of the guild gathered in front of Max to bet. Most of the old members are within 10 moves, and Alzak even beats Natsu and will be caught in 1 move. The new members are much more conservative. After all, they only heard about the power of Genryusai, but have never seen it, so most of them have more than 15 moves. Lucy also noticed the betting stalls here, and glanced at the options. Genryusai wins with 1 move, Genryusai with less than 5 moves wins, Genryusai with less than 10 moves wins. There is no option for Natsu to win here. Lucy couldn't help complaining. Hey, because there's no need, Natsu will definitely be defeated, and when he wins just depends on how Genryusai feels. You cat with no morals, is the gap really that big? But I think Natsu is also very strong. Ah, I want to live too. Crack. Natsu clapped his fists together, his eyes lit up with flames, and said to Genryusai, Genryusai, I won't be defeated so easily by you this time. Lucy complained, so you know you will be defeated. Oh. Then let me see it, I hope it can warm me up. Everyone who made a good bet went back to avoid being affected by the battle. Huh. Fire Dragon's iron fist. Natsu's fist ignited a flame, rushed towards Genryusai quickly, and punched Genryusai. Shua. Genryusai didn't use Shunpo, but easily dodged sideways. Natsu didn't stop, he clenched his fists and chased after him. Natsu, after so long, your attack is still so direct, it's too easy to be seen through by the opponent, for example. Genryusai dodged Natsu's fist again, and suddenly stretched out his foot, just in front of Natsu's leg, tripping Natsu. Pung. Natsu fell face down on the ground. Lucy complained. Ah. So despicable. Fire Dragon's wing strike. Natsu leapt with all his strength, his arms were burning with flames, and he slapped Genryusai like a dragon's wings. Shua. Genryusai appeared in front of Natsu very quickly, and kicked Natsu's abdomen before Natsu's arms were caught. Ah! Natsu flew backwards, smashing a small hole in the ground. Such a wide open and close move, it depends on who the opponent is before using it. Fire Dragon's sword horn. Natsu stood up, and after wrapping Fire Dragon's flames all over his body, he rushed towards Genryusai with his head at high speed. Still so reckless. Genryusai smiled helplessly, condensed Reiatsu and stretched out his right hand. Zizi. It directly blocked Natsu's collision, but Natsu kept spinning in Genryusai's hands, and the picture looked funny. Ha ha ha. Natsu, are you making a spinning top? Did you laugh, you idiot? Hanging your eyes, what are you doing? How stupid, Natsu. Ha ha ha. Seeing this funny scene, the guild members laughed mercilessly. It's so noisy. Fire Dragon's roar. Natsu, who was dizzy, fell down. Hearing everyone's unscrupulous laughter, he turned around and shouted. Then he turned towards Genryusai, raised his head and made an attacking motion. Boom. In the blink of an eye, Genryusai was in front of Natsu again, and he quickly punched Natsu on the jaw. Woo! Hoo hoo! Flame spewed out of his mouth, and his body flew out like a leaking balloon. Boom! A wall was smashed into pieces. Makarov's face trembled, and he began to calculate how much he would lose this time. After a while, Natsu crawled out from the broken stone. Dragon Slayer transforms the physique of a human into that of a dragon, and its vitality is like that of an unbeatable Xiaoqiang. This level of impact is nothing to Natsu. I can't believe I can't hit you, Genryu sighed. The flame of the left hand and the flame of the right hand merged together. Fire Dragon's radiant flame. The flames of Natsu's hands merged into one, forming a huge fireball, jumped up, and threw it at Genryu Sai. 63 Thunder Roar Cannon. A hissing thunder blasted towards the fireball, and the violent thunder and lightning directly tore the fireball. Boom. The fireball shattered between the two, blasting a huge crater. Zzz. The aftermath of the lightning did not dissipate, and continued to rush towards Natsu. Wow ah ah. Natsu's body trembled and was sent flying by the force of the impact. Boom. Another sound smashed into a wall. Makarov yelled in dissatisfaction, "Stinky boy, take it easy. So strong. It really is so strong." Fortunately, it was only the aftermath of the lightning, which did not cause much damage to Natsu. Listen, Natsu, the flame of Dragon Slayer magic is an emotional flame, so the power is almost determined by the user's emotion. Flame has two characteristics. One is burning, which uses temperature to increase destructive power. The other is explosion. The power of explosion is more destructive and has a wide range of applications. The acceleration of flames attached to your limbs is such a characteristic, but it is still too crude. Shua. Genryu Sai's figure disappeared in the blink of an eye, and when he reappeared, he was right in front of Natsu. There are also continuous attacks of moves, don't give the opponent a chance to breathe. As soon as the words fell, Natsu was sent flying by Genryu Sai's punch. Bang! Bang! Genryu Sai followed closely and continued to punch Natsu in the stomach. Then when Natsu was about to fight back, he grabbed his fist and kicked him in the waist. Bang! Bang bang! Ah! Gorgeous physical skills, smooth attacks, dazzling people watching. Gorgeous physical skills, smooth attacks, dazzling people watching. Is this the, for nothing, Genryu Sai keeps talking about? Gray, didn't you, Natsu, and Elfman learn to fight for nothing with Genryu Sai for a while? Why don't you think it's so powerful? Don't compare me with that pervert Genryu Sai. Brother-in-law's white beating skills are simply not comparable to ours. Brother-in-law, come on, hee hee. Bravo. It's amazing gymnastics. The members of the guild were shocked by Genryu Sai's fluent, white beating, and stared at it without blinking. As for the screaming Natsu, they ignored it. Genryu Sai kicked Natsu on the back and kicked Natsu into the air. Wow. Boom. When Genryu Sai reappeared, he was already on top of Natsu, clasped his hands and fingers, and before Natsu could react, he was hit hard in the abdomen. Wow. Call out. Boom. Boom. There was a loud noise, and a human-shaped pit appeared on the ground. Natsu was foaming at the mouth, with stars in his eyes, unconscious. Happy held up the small white flag and said, "Ko. Oh. It's amazing." As expected of Genryu Sai, the movements are crisp and neat. It was so powerful that Natsu couldn't fight back. A man's man. Brother-in-law, I won. Listen, calm down, calm down. Gray said dissatisfiedly. This fellow Natsu has earned it. I wish I had known that I would also challenge. Hey. Lucy complained. Why do you say that? Obviously they were beaten so badly. Happy explained. Because Genryu Sai is very strong in both magic and physical skills. Although Natsu was beaten badly, Genryu Sai taught him a lot of skills in the process. And still use the body to feel, the memory will be stronger. Lucy looked at Natsu sympathetically, and complained, you want to say, remember these lessons with your body. Hot. Genryu Sai is so strong. Hey, of course. Happy still remembers Genryu Sai's sword like fire, it is the fear that has been carved in his bones. Compared with the sea of flames like a natural disaster, beating Natsu in vain now can only be said to be a small scene. In addition, this time Max can be said to have made a lot of money. Natsu was in the hands of Genryu Sai and persisted for more than 30 moves. No one bets on more than 25 moves, so this time, Max can be said to be a complete kill. After a while, Natsu was pulled out of the ground. It's just some skin trauma. To Dragon Slayer, it's nothing at all. In terms of anti-beating ability alone, Natsu is indeed much stronger than before. Just when the duel was over and everyone went back satisfied, Gray found out that Genryusai and Max were sneaking behind. Genryusai, this is your half. Max took out a large stack of banknotes and slipped it to Genryusai. Genryusai was also polite, he quickly put away the items without counting them. The two looked at each other wretchedly and smiled, and said something with their shoulders crossed. Gray looked at this scene in shock, not using Natsu's single-mindedness. Gray instantly understood something. You two fools actually partnered up to cheat money. With a loud shout from Gray, all the guild members walking in front stopped in doubt. Genryusai and Max took a guilty step back. It's over. Was found. Gray, what's the matter? Macau asked suspiciously, and the others also looked at Gray. I just saw that Max gave Genryusai money. We were all fooled. The bet just now was a trap. Gray's words made everyone look at Genryusai and Max with red eyes. What did you say? You two dogs, how dare you play a game? I asked why I played for so long this time. I thought I was pointing at Natsu. It turned out that he was cheating us of money. That's my son's milk powder money. Hit them. If you don't hand over the money, you will kill them both. Copy guys. Max, why are you staring blankly? Don't run fast. Oh. Chasing. We must kill both of them today. Don't let them run away, that's the old man's drink money for a month. President, you also. Chasing. Soon, a chase race kicks off around town. On this day, the residents of Magnolia saw that Genryusai and Max ran in front desperately, and in the dust rolled up behind them, a group of fairy tale members, led by the chairman Makarov, all had scarlet eyes and gnashed their teeth. With two people. It looked like they were going to swallow them alive. Late at night. Genryusai's estate was dark and silent. Crack. In this darkness, Genryusai's door was quietly opened. Brush. A figure quickly flashed out of the room, and gently closed the door by the way. Crack. Genryusai turned the doorknob of Murajan's room, and it was not locked. A smirk appeared on the corner of Genryusai's mouth. Who? The sound of the door woke Murajan up. As soon as the bedside lamp was turned on, a familiar embrace embraced her from behind. Mila sauce, didn't you agree to sleep in my room from now on? Genryusai said sweetly in Murajan's ear. Murajan could even feel the heat from her ears, and her face flushed instantly. No, Lisana is still at home. Murajan let Genryusai do it, and said shyly. Speaking is nothing, I can punish you. You, what do you want? Genryusai pulled Murajan closer to him, looking at her flushed cheeks and big watery eyes. I want you to use the satanic form. Genryusai looked at the cute Murajan, and whispered a few words in her ear. And just as Genryusai explained, Murajan's pretty face also turned redder at a speed visible to the naked eye, and steam was rising. Bah, what a mess. I don't want it. 3 days passed in a flash. Genryusai and Murajan, a young couple, can be said to know the essence of taste. Genryusai even experienced all kinds of beauty of receiving magic, which is simply unstoppable. Sister, your skin has become more and more shiny recently. What skincare products do you use? Yeah, maybe it's a rest. Genryusai, when are you going to do the mission? I've only been back for a few days, and besides, the president went to a party with a group of old men. I have to watch it, or you will have to dismantle the guild. Genryusai sat at the bar, touching Murajan's little hand from time to time. Suddenly, the gate of the guild was opened. Loki ran in and shouted in horror, no, Urza is back. The members of the guild who were talking and laughing just now seemed to be strangled by someone, unable to make a sound. Gray and Natsu, who were arguing, looked ugly, as if they heard some terrible monster. It's over, it's really over now. Mao said to himself, sweating profusely. Urza is back, it's over now. Everyone in the guild showed expressions of fear. What happened? Why do I always feel that Urza is scary? Seeing that everyone was showing such panic, Lucy couldn't help being affected by the atmosphere. He couldn't help showing a frightened look, and he even sketched an image of a terrifying big devil in his mind. Miss Mira, who is that Urza? Hearing the approaching footsteps outside the door, Lucy couldn't help swallowing, and asked weakly like Murajan at the side. Urza, well, it can be said that she is the most powerful female mage in our guild right now. Murajan replied with a smile, but there was a flash of unhappiness in her tone. Of course, this tinge of displeasure was not directed at the title, the strongest female sorcerer. Hearing this, Lucy nodded her head weakly, and looked in the direction of the door with a look of embarrassment. Boom. Boom. Before seeing the person, hear the voice first. A series of dull and slow footsteps came slowly from outside the door, like a heavy sledgehammer, hitting the hearts of everyone in the arena one after another. Unconsciously, the atmosphere became more and more tense. Finally. Boom. There was a heavy bang, and the huge sharp horn in his hand was thrown on the ground. Urza with a handsome face appeared in front of everyone. I'm back. Looking around, Urza asked lightly, is the president here? It's so beautiful. Lucy looked at Urza in amazement and sighed sincerely. Didn't she expect that the rumored Urza turned out to be a great beauty? You are back. The president has gone to a regular meeting. Miss Urza, what's that oversized thing? The horns of the monsters I hunted down. The locals gave them to me as souvenirs as decorations. Why, is it in the way? Urza said it is a matter of course, and did not forget to ask at the end. No. No problem at all. Hearing this, the mage said with sweat profusely. The horn of a monster. How powerful. As expected of the fairy queen. By the way, you guys. I heard a lot of rumors about you during the mission. Turning his gaze, he glanced at everyone present. Urza suddenly frowned slightly and reprimanded. I heard that you have caused a lot of trouble during my absence. Even if the president doesn't pursue it, I will never let you go easily. Huh. Hearing this, the anxiety in everyone's hearts became more and more intense, as if they were waiting for the trial. Kana, as a girl, how can you hold a barrel and drink all day? Wakaba, you flick ash on the table again. Nab, you are still dangling in front of the task board. Get to work. Macau. Alas. Urza looked at Macau and sighed. On the contrary, Macau felt even more insulted. What are you talking about? After a series of reprimands, Urza couldn't help holding his forehead and let out a soft breath, sighing, it's really a bunch of worrying guys, forget it, I won't say much today. It seems like I've already said a lot. Lucy couldn't help complaining. By the way, could it be that she is a disciplinary committee member? This is Urza. Happy said as a matter of course. By the way, where are Natsu and Gray? Gray put shoulders to Natsu and said, yo. Urza, we got along very well today too. Hey. Lucy spit out in shock. Natsu and Happy have become the same. Because both were beaten badly by Urza. Natsu singled out Urza before, and was beaten half to death. Lucy couldn't believe it. Such a strong Natsu was beaten half to death. Could it be that he has the same strength as Genryusai? Gray was seen by Urza when he was undressing, and he was also beaten to death. And Rocky was beaten half to death when he flirted with his sister. It's really a great result. Lucy grumbled secretly. Urza nodded in satisfaction and said, really? Good friends sometimes quarrel, and I like to see how you get along in harmony. I've said it many times, we're not good friends. Hey. Urza ignored it completely. Genryusai, where do you want to go? Urza stopped Genryusai who was about to sneak away. Yo, Urza, long time no see, you have become more beautiful. Urza didn't respond to Genryusai's fawning words, and began to scold Genryusai, saying, I've been away for a mission for almost half a year, and I haven't heard a single word. I don't know which woman seduced you and left. I thought you weren't coming back. Woolen cloth. Genryusai was a little dazed, as if he had heard this not long ago. Did you do the task these days after you came back? Genryusai glanced at Murajan, and said as a matter of course, I just came back, I must take a good rest. As for whether this break is serious or not, only he and Murajan know. Since you haven't accepted the task now, I just need your help with something. Urza said seriously, and when she said this, everyone else was shocked. Urza and Genryusai. Could it be that the strongest men and women in the guild are going to get together again? Really? This is an earth-shattering event. Lucy asked curiously, have the two teamed up before? Hey, Urza took Genryusai with him for a while when he first joined. So Urza is Genryusai's senior. Hey. Seeing Urza's serious face, Genryusai asked, what's the trouble? As such that. Urza said in a deep voice, I heard some very difficult things at work. I originally planned to report to the president first when I came back, and wait for the president to make a decision, but now it seems that there is not enough time, so I decided to go as soon as possible. Good solution. Genryusai, I want to use your strength, would you like to come with me? Still doing your own thing, Urza, unfortunately my date with Murajan is gone tomorrow. Murajan whispered in Genryusai's ear, it's been a long time since I teamed up with Urza, so you can date Urza in a fair and honest way, you are actually very happy. Absolutely nothing. No matter what he was thinking in his heart at this moment, he could never admit it verbally. Murajan gave Genryusai a blank look and said, it's no wonder I believe you. I don't know you yet. In front of everyone in the guild, Murajan is gentle and kind, only in front of Genryusai will occasionally show a little temper. Meanwhile, the other side. One of the most powerful Balam Alliance triangles in the Dark Guild, the Assassins Association under Oracion Cease, Eisenwald. What happened to Yingshan and the others? Are they able to get that thing? In a dark room, a tall figure with his upper body bare sat on a wide seat and asked in a deep voice. Curved white hair like a knife, a pointed and thin chin, and a huge sickle-shaped magic weapon on his shoulders. It is the absolute trump card of Eisenwald, who is known as the God of Death, the God of Death. Aragorn. Don't worry, Boss Aragorn. Hearing this, a magician said with a smile, even if there is a seal, but with the strength of Yingshan and the others, I think it will take a day or two at most, and they will be able to get that thing. If that's the case, that's the best. Hearing this, a frightening light flashed in Aragorn's eyes. Muttering to himself, he said with a light smile, after all, such a rare and good opportunity for the regular meeting of the presidents of the Alliance of Light is not very common. After finishing speaking, a trace of bloodthirsty cold light was outlined at the corner of his mouth. The so-called genuine guild that lives in the light, as long as you get that thing smoothly, then I, the God of Death, Aragorn, will definitely let you have a grand banquet that you will never forget. Ha 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 ha. Ambitious wild laughter immediately resounded throughout the entire Eisenwald. Early the next morning, when Genryusai came to the train station, he saw Urza pull a cart and salute. This familiar scene made Genryusai feel a little helpless and said, Urza, why do you have to bring so much luggage every time? Trouble. No, forget it, let's go. Wait a minute, I also invited someone. Ah. Then my date with Urza is ruined. Urza blushed when she heard it, and pinched Genryusai, who said I'm dating you. I thought. Genryusai gasped. Urza's pinch was much more painful than Murajan's. Then Urza, how about going on a date with me when you get back from this mission? Genryusai decided to take the initiative. Shua. Urza's face flushed instantly. Anyone who really knows Urza, probably knows. In terms of feelings, Urza is actually very shy, not even as bold as Lysina, blushing at every turn. It's shown in the comics. And when she was shy, she stuttered. Back, let's talk. I'll take it as your promise, Urza-chan. Genryusai lowered his head slightly, leaned against Urza's ear, said teasingly, and kissed her cheek quickly after speaking. Buzz. Urza's face was completely familiar, and white smoke rose from his head. Sure enough, Urza-chan is more shy than Mira-chan. Genryusai smiled secretly in his heart. You know, the girl he first came into contact with was actually Urza, and the relationship has remained close. But in the end, it was with Murajan first. The biggest reason for this is that Urza is too shy. Regardless of whether Urza is in the guild or outside, she is like a queen. But when it comes to this aspect, she is a cute and vulnerable girl. The point is, this girl was hurt as a child. So once too shy, Urza would even choose to escape. At that time, Urza was like this, frantically accepting tasks, avoiding Genryusai intentionally or unintentionally. Urza. At this moment, two people ran towards this side, with cherry-colored hair and a dragon scale scarf. It was Natsu and Happy. Next to it is Lucy, a newcomer to the Fairy Tale Guild. Urza, why is your face so red? Are you sick? Natsu scratched his head and asked strangely. Lucy looked at Genryusai and then at Urza with eyes full of gossip. There is adultery. Happy said, rolling his tongue sullenly. Boom. Annoyed, Urza tapped Happy and Natsu on the head. Why hit me? Natsu lay on the ground, looking at Urza aggrievedly. A sharp look from Urza made Natsu and Happy hug each other, and shut their mouths honestly. Soon several people sat on the train, and Natsu started to get motion sickness as soon as he got on the train. Natsu, are you okay? Lucy looked at Natsu sympathetically, then turned her head and introduced herself to Urza, who was sitting opposite. Hi Urza, I'm new to Fairy Tale. My name is Lucy, please give me your advice. Urza smiled and said to Lucy, thank you, Lucy, for your help. This time Urza called Natsu besides Genryusai, but Lucy's arrival was beyond her expectation. She thought Lucy came here specially to help. Hey, Lucy and Natsu teamed up. Urza said. Oh. Really? This guy Natsu will also form a team. It seems that you must be very good, Lucy. Actually. I don't know why I teamed up with Natsu. Didn't Urza form a team with Genryusai? Why did they separate? Lucy looked at Natsu and complained, and then asked gossip again. It's nothing. At that time, Genryusai had just become a mage, and he was not familiar with everything. Later, I felt that he could complete the task alone, so I disbanded the team. Ah. So Miss Urza actually dumped Genryusai. That's not the case at all. Genryusai is very powerful and doesn't need my help at all, so I chose to leave. That's how it is. To love him, one must learn to let go. The love between mages is so unforgettable. Hey, Lucy, you have a lot of inner drama. I don't have that kind of relationship with him, and not only did I form a team with Genryusai, Murajan also formed a team with him. Lucy's eyes lit up instantly, and said, could it be an intricate triangle relationship? Miss Mira won in the end. Hey! Boom! On Lucis and Happy's heads, each had a big bag, and white smoke was hissing. Puff! Genryusai suddenly felt that the newcomer was not only handsome, but also had an interesting personality, so he couldn't help laughing. With a murderous look in Urza's eyes, he immediately suppressed Genryusai's laughter, and with an expression of, I don't know anything, he sat upright beside him. This time I'm not here to play, the opponent is the notorious Dark Guild. Lucy and Happy leaned their hands together, nodding in fear. Thanks for watching.